Morning, grade 1. So, today we're going to be looking at some of the stuff we've already done, just so it really sticks in your mind like a booger in your nose. And we're going to look at the next important thing, which comes to reading music. So, before we get there, let's start it off. Right over here, we have what is called a quarter note, or a crotchet if you're from England. And every time we see this one, just an easy way to remember it is if I can't see through it, it's a quarter note because it's black on the inside, so you can't see through it. So that is ta. When you can see through it, this one over here, that's called a minim or a half note. So a half note or a minim. If you're from England, you'd call it a minim. And for every half note, we get 2 beats. Ta, ah. So quarter note, ta, half note, ta, ah. And this little blob, well not little, this big blob over here, it's a whole note. Or if you're from England, a semibreve. And it gets 4 beats. Okay? And it goes ta, ah, ah, ah. So a quarter note or a crotchet gets 1 beat, ta. Minim or a half note gets 2 beats, ta, ah. A whole note or a semibreve gets 4 beats, ta, okay? Now let's try and do it practically. You guys have done this with Miss Vanessa, so this is just a recap so that it's really in your mind. Let's look at number 1. We're just gonna say it out loud, then we're gonna clap it, okay? So 1, 2, 3, go. Ta, 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 ah, ta, ah, ta, ah, ah, ah. Alright, let's try that one more time. Here's my beat. 2, 3, go! Ta, 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 ah, ta, ah, ta, ah, ah, ah. So this blob always gets the most beats out of all of them. It's like he swallows all of them up and says, you're in my stomach now, you get 4 beats. Alright, so number 2. So remember, all we're doing is every time we see one of these ones which we can't see through, which is a quarter note, we say ta. When we see the ones that we can see through, we say ta, ah. And when we see the biggest, fattest of them all, we say ta, ah, ah, ah. Super simple, okay? So let's go for number 2. Ready? 2, 3, go. Ta, 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 ah, ta, ah, ta, ah, ta, 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 ah, ah, ah. Let's do number 2 again. 2, 3, go. Ta, 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 ah, ta, ah, ta, ah, ta, 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 ah, ah, ah. Now before we go to number 3, let's try and clap these out, okay? So number 1, every time we say ta, we clap like that. Every time we say ta, ah, we go ta, ah. Our hands stay down. They don't go ta, ah. No, that's ta, ta. So for ta, 1 clap. Ta, ah, it sticks. Same thing for ta, ah, ah, ah. Ta, ah, ah, ah. It sticks for all of those. Just the first one is always the clap. Every time you see a T, that's the clap, okay? So let's go number 1. Let's clap it out. You get to clap it out real loud at home. I'll clap it out softly over here. So let's go. Number 1. 1, 2, 3. Let's clap and say it. Ta, 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 ah, ta, ah, ta, ah, ah, ah. Alright, let's try one more time. 3, go. Ta, 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 ah, ta, ah, ta, oh, ta, ah, ah, ah. It almost got me for a second. So remember, it sticks for those ones. Let's try number 2, clapping. 3, go. Ta, 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 ah, ta, ah, ta, ah, ta, 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 ah, ah, ah. One more time. Let's do number 2. 2, 3, go. Ta, 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 ah, ta, ah, ta, ah, ta, 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 sticky hands. All right, let's try number 3. We're just gonna say that once and clap it once, okay? Because we've got used to these other ones. So let's go for it. 1, 2. We're saying it out loud. Ta, ta, ah, ta, ta, ah, ah, ta, 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 ah, ta, ah, ta, ah. All right, let's get those hands ready. We're gonna clap it out. Number 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Ta, ta, ah, ta, ta, ah, 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 ta, 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 ah, ta, ah, ta, ah. Done. Simple as that. So, next thing we're going to move on. So now we know how to read these beats. We know how to read a quarter note, a half note, and a whole note. But do we know how to read these lines? We always see these things. Whenever it comes to music, everyone is always showing us these 5 lines. What do they mean? That's why we're here today. So, first thing we need to know is, what is the name of these 5 lines? The name of the 5 lines is the staff. And just like in music, everything has 2 names. So it can also be called the stave. So you pick whichever one you want. You can call it the staff, the stave. I'm going to call it the staff for now. So these 5 lines are the staff. This squiggly thing, whatever it is right here, actually you know what it is. It's called a treble clef. Okay, a treble clef. But just like everything else in music, second name. It's also called a G clef. And the reason why it's called a G clef is, you see this line over here? This is known as the G line, and we're about to find out why. So, each of these lines, line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4, line 5. Make sure you don't go line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4, line 5. Line 1 is at the bottom, line 5 is at the top. Line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4, line 5. Line 1, we'll say every. Line 2, we'll say good. Line 3, we'll say boy. Line 4, we'll say deserves. And line 5, Fanta. So we put all that together, we say every good boy deserves Fanta. Say it with me. 3, go. Every good boy deserves Fanta. One more time, let's go. Every good boy deserves Fanta. Alright, so what letter does every start with? E. What letter does good start with? G. What letter does B start with? Boy. So what letter does boy start with? B. What letter does deserve start with? D. And what letter does Fanta start with? F. So each of these lines gets the first letter of each of these words. So this line 1 will get E, because the first line gets every, and the first letter of every is E. This line number 2 has good as its word. So it's going to get G, because the first letter of good is G. And boy starts with B, so the middle line is B. Deserve starts with D, so this second top line is D. And Fanta starts with F for fun, so this top line is F. So E, G, B, D, F. Now I told you we're going to find out why this is called the G clef. Well, looky here. The G line goes all the way here and is being circled by the G clef right here. That's why it's called the G clef, or the treble clef. So every good boy deserves Fanta, E, G, B, D, F. Now these are only for the lines. Make sure you never forget that. This is only for the lines. Now let's go over here. Over here you can see we have another word. But this time it's not on the lines, it's in the spaces. You see, when we had this over here, we had the lines right here, but in between the lines you have a space. And right here, in between the lines we have spaces. And in between these spaces we have a face. Super easy. F gets the first space, space number 1. A gets space number 2. C gets space number 3, and E gets space number 4. So space 1, space 2, space 3, space 4, F, A, C, E. I always say, if you forget what's in the space, hit your face. It's that simple. You should not be able to forget that. So all together, the line notes, so first before that, the lines are called the staff or the stave. This squiggly thing is called a treble clef or a G clef. The lines get the sentence, every good boy deserves Fanta, and the spaces get your face. F-A-C-E. And that is how we read music. So that's a good way to start it off, and next week we're going to look at it in some further detail, and we're going to try and put them all together and see how well you do. So that's all for now. Go watch the videos that we've attached, and have a great week. See you guys.